In older homes, the walls can start to look a little bit tired. You could give them a simple repaint, but if you want a good quality finish, you'll need to reline the walls with gib plasterboard. It's a fairly big job, but if you take it step by step, there's no reason why you can't do it yourself and end up with a room that looks $1,000,000. Now, before we crack into ripping off the old plasterboard, what we're going to need to do first is remove our finishing lines, which is our skirting, scotia, and our architraves. Now, a handy little tool is one of these lovely little pry bars. You want to just whack it in there nice and neat. In these older style homes, the finishing lines are generally made out of native timber. So when you're taking them off, you have to be really, really careful because they can split. Now, we're not planning on reusing these, but if you are, just take your time, eh? Now, if you are planning on reusing your finishing lines, you've got all these nails sticking through the back. One little tip for you, just use your nippers and just pull those through the back as opposed to punching them through the front. If you bang them through the front, you're going to blow out the whole face of your timber. It's going to look pretty ugly.
Now work your way around the room, taking off the rest of the finishing lines.
Right, we're just about ready to start taking our plasterboard off. Before we do this, we need to turn the power off at the mains, make sure we're safe.
There's nothing too sophisticated about this. Find a place where there's no studs behind the wallboard, make a hole in the wall and start pulling it off.
Now, the good thing about these old homes, most of the time there's no glue attaching the wallboard to the studs. But you know what, if there is, all you need to do is use an old chisel and scrape that off there. And when you come to straighten your studs, if there's anything left on, you can always use your electric planer to buzz it off. All you got to do now is just make sure you take out all the nails.
Carry on and remove the rest of the old plasterboard. Here's a tip. Any power sockets, make a hole around them so they don't get pulled off the wall when you remove the plasterboard.
Now that all our plasterboard's off the wall, we're going to check all our walls for straight. So to do this, you just grab yourself a straight edge of some sort or a nice long level like this. And I'm just going to put that on that middle stud. And as you can see, I've got quite a big rock. That's rocking away there nicely. So what that's telling me, I've probably got an old knot that's in the wall there, or that stud's quite badly bowed. So I'm going to use an electric planer, give that a buzz down. Before planing any of your studs, just make sure you punch all your nails.
Check both horizontal and vertical to make sure that all of your framing is in line.
Okay, our wall's looking nice and straight. Now, if this was a bathroom situation where I'm going to put tiles over top of our lining, I'd have to make sure not only does it have to be straight, but also plumb. Now, sometimes planing it down just simply isn't enough.
In some situations, you may even have to put packers on top of your framing, or even strap a new stud to your old one. To comply with building regulations, you'll need to use building paper and insulation on any exterior walls, and you'll need a building consent to do this. Clean up the edges and finish the wall by putting the rest of the paper in the gaps. I'm using a hammer tacker to hold the paper in place.
Building paper's in. Couple of things you want to think about just before you put your insulation in. One is putting additional noggin or solid fixing into your walls. You know, you might want to hang a flat screen TV or a mirror or throw some shelves up later. So a little bit of solid fixing is going to be golden. The other is giving the sparky a call and running some wires for any extra power points.
Now it's time to put in your insulation. I'm using pink bats, and you can check out the How to Install Wall Insulation Easy As guide to see how it's done.
Right, I'm just about ready to put up my jib plasterboard. Just before I do that, I'm going to take a couple of photographs because you never know when you might need those for a reference later. We've got all these plumbing pipes, we've got wires, we might want to fix something to wall later. So, a couple of photographs are not going to hurt.
I'm marking where the top of my jib plasterboard will be so I can apply some wallboard adhesive away from where the screws will go. Apply the adhesive at 300mm centres.
Now I've already measured and cut our jib plasterboard. For more information on this, check out the How to Line an Interior Wall Guide. Now I'm using 13mm thick jib plasterboard. The reason for this is because we're in an old house, the studs are still a little bit wrinkly, so by putting on a slightly thicker jib plasterboard, it's just going to iron all those wrinkles out nicely. Now because our room is higher than 2.4, I've decided to use jib wide line on the bottom, allowing me a standard jib plasterboard on the top.
Once again, apply the jib fix adhesive and up she goes.
Okay, I've horizontally fixed these two boards. It's the most common method of fixing nowadays, and I'm screwing it around the outside perimeter only.
I continue working my way round until we're done.
Whilst I've fixed the rest of the room horizontally, this wall I'm going to fix vertically. If I was to fix this sheet horizontally, I'd have an unnecessary joint in the middle here. So I've cut one sheet, ready to go.
And remember, less joins means less jib stopping later on.
So I'm also going to install this 90-degree slimline. That's going to give us a nice straight edge, and it's going to take any hard knocks. It's pretty simple to install, just a couple of jib clouts with a nice straight edge up against it, bingo. Rightio, there we go, slimline's on, nice tidy corner. Got a couple more sheets to throw up, then the whole room ready for stopping.
From there we'll be putting on the skirting boards, scotia and giving it a lick of paint.
So there we have it, a new jib plasterboarded room complete with insulation and nice straight framing.